This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Let's talk a little bit about the original idea, because I didn't know until I read the book again, which I read back in 2004. But I just saw that the original idea that you had was not a Wednesday show, but a Tuesday show. And in fact, the name was Tuesday Night Attitude. Is that right?
That's accurate. Little known, unknown fact, so to speak.
So talk to me a little bit about a lot here, I guess, but specifically, why Tuesday night?
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, you talk about, I'll steal your line. There is an awful lot to unpack here on night attitude and why Tuesday and why did it change to Wednesday. Well, Tuesday night is a very lucrative night in the television world, in the entertainment world. Monday hasn't always been so much, but Monday Night Football, obviously now Monday Night Raw. But Tuesday was a big pay-per-view night. You would watch a boxing event on a Saturday. Sunday is Sunday. Monday's a big news day. Watch the replay tomorrow night on pay-per-view. So replays in pay-per-view world were big. Just a lucrative night. TV, through the years, Tuesdays and Thursdays have been big block nights. So there was a bunch of peripheral, I'll say, compliments or supporting decisions, but probably at the very top of that list was getting out of the gate. How are we going to advertise to a captured audience? And the pay-per-view industry, it's a unique world. It may, I'll use our neck of the woods or whatever, pay-per-view buys in New York City could be great. Go up a couple hundred miles, and Albany, New York could be terrible. I'm just giving a hypothetical. Chicago could be a great pay-per-view market, and Milwaukee could be terrible. So figuring out, and WCW, it's in those days, you could look at it very, very almost simplistic. The Midwest and the Southeast were WCW territories. The East Coast and the West Coast were WWE product or WWF product at the time. So us figuring out what markets and what strongholds we're going to have, okay, that wasn't going to be the biggest challenge, because we knew to use the Coke and the Pepsi analogies, Coca-Cola was East Coast and West Coast. Pepsi was Southeast and Midwest. Okay, so we're going to come out of the gate looking at that. But how do we advertise to a captured audience? Buy local ads in Monday Night Raw. Nitro went away. So the wrestling audience is sitting around their TV every Monday night. This still exists to this day. You go buy a Monday Night Raw ad in 2021 on a local market, they're astronomical, because the data is there, the demo's there. I'm sure AEW is getting into that. The AOL Time Warner Media is figuring that now too. If you want to hit a certain demo. So anyway, we knew we could capture the wrestling audience on Monday nights and say, buy tomorrow night, buy tomorrow night, buy tomorrow night.
So we can't talk about the name and not address, it's not just Tuesday Night Attitude, it's TNA.
Sure.
And a lot of people, unfairly, I think, probably point the finger, and you can point, sort of set the record straight. That's not a Russo thing. That's a Jeff Jarrett thing, TNA.
It was, me and Vince obviously had the conversation. I'm sure JB, Disco, there probably could have been multiples, but me and Vince probably had the most extensive conversations. And again, the conversation going back to what me and my father, I was ready, willing, and able to shoulder the load. Look, again, I'd come off of WCW and WWF, and the single biggest deciding factor, in my opinion, on the success or failure of a wrestling company is you got to have the buck stop with someone. So the buck stopped with me. So you can point fingers at Vince Russo or Jerry Jarrett or a number of folks over the years. If the buck stops with you, you're ultimately. So yes, it was me. And, if you pull out some different things that happened through the Attitude Era, I'll say, Conrad, you can't do that on USA Network. You can't do that on TNT. You can't do that on TBS, but you can do it on pay-per-view. So a pay-per-view only company, we were still going with the mindset of you got to give them, in Pat Patterson's words, a little something extra. So the double entendre with no commercials, that was another thing. You know, at those times, Raw was going from a 2.5-minute commercial break or a 3.5-minute, you know, they continue to fatten the commercial breaks and cram you know this very well, Conrad, getting as many commercial, you know, as you can. So it being a 2-hour commercial free on pay-per-view, and using the double entendre. So the Total Nonstop Action was the commercial free, and the other version of Hits and Ass, the other version of TNA was just that.
So I guess the idea is, you know, that, and I guess we should add the context of this. This is very much the Girls Gone Wild era of America. So, you know, they had the late night ads. Hey, you want to see this 19-year-old show her boobies? Send $29.95 to so-and-so and we'll send you a DVD. And as silly as it was, it made tens or maybe hundreds of millions of dollars. And it's also a big pay-per-view business where scantily clad, bikini clad girls are doing this or that. And for whatever reason, well, not for whatever reason, we know why, it's moving the needle. But this is on the heels of the hot attitude era where there was a lot of that too. And for whatever reason, WCW standards and practices wouldn't allow some of that behavior. And a lot of people say that's why Vince won the war. I think we'll agree to disagree on that, but still,
Vince won the war because Vince is Vince.
yes.
You can point fingers at 1,000 different things, guys. Yeah. He's the boss, and there wasn't one in WCW, period.
So you felt like you needed some edgy, risque adult content. So having the word attitude in there, B, pushing that it's the night after Raw, tomorrow night on those localized ads, you could have the double entendre, so to speak, TNA and Tuesday Night Attitude.
And when you're looking across the desk at the pay-per-view industry, it's one of those, and Conrad, I'm sure you've been in this kind of business meetings, when they tell you their highest grossing performance pay-per-views, and you get outside of the sports entertainment,
it's adult
sporting world. What'd you say?
It's adult.
It's sort of, I can remember going, holy, I mean, I was like, that's the first time I really wrapped my head around true numbers. Nothing is even a close second, including wrestling. I mean, including boxing. The adult entertainment industry in those days, I don't know about anything now, but in those days, by far their biggest gross. I mean,
when everybody didn't have whatever they wanted in their fingertips on their phone, in their pocket, hotels did really, 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 really well.
Yeah.
Just by having those, and the pay-per-view companies did too. So I understand it. Another
hotel business is driven off, the back in those days, the remote control and the bar.
Yep.
That was the hotel. It wasn't about service. It wasn't about Johnny and the family can come and play on a playground outside.
Let's sell some drinks. Let's sell some appetizers. And when we get them good and drunk and they're trying to fall asleep, they'll click something on that remote and we'll get them again.
Bingo.
We'll get them coming and going.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.